102 Battle Turbo to the Panic Pull featuring a new Earthen Seal Stone from Silver Tempest, which is a new tool card that gives your Pokemon V with this card attached a V-Star power called Star Gravity. For 3 colors, you get to put damage counter on all of your opponent's V Pokemon until all of them have 100 HP remaining. We're using this card with our Orbeetle VMAX with the Eerie Beam ability, placing 1 damage counter on each of our opponent's Pokemon once during our turn. If this Pokemon is in the active spot, we get to stack this ability as well, placing up to 4 damage counter if we have 4 VMAXs in play. We also have our Hisuian Braviary from Silver Tempest to the Eerie Cry, placing 3 damage counter on each of our opponent's Pokemon that already has damage counters on them for 0 energy. It's a very cool spread strategy that they're doing. We are placing damage counter with our VMAX ability and also the free energy attack using Hisuian Braviary and the VMAX combo. We also have our Panic Mask to prevent all damage done to our Pokemon with this tool card attached by attacks from our opponent's Pokemon that have 40 or less HP remaining. So we get to reduce their HP down to 40 using Star Gravity and also our ability and attack. Eerie Beam, Eerie Cry to place extra damage counters onto their Pokemon right after doing Star Gravity, and that means they can't do any damage to our Pokemon with Panic Mask attached with any of their Pokemons in play. We even have our Leafy Camo Poncho to prevent our Orbeetle VMAX from getting balls on the bench, and 1 Shopping Center to swap out our Seal Stone with a Poncho or another Panic Mask. As an additional attacker, we also have 1 Jynx to do Psychic Assault, hitting 10 more damage for each damage counter on the opponent's active Pokemon, plus 10 base for 2 colorless. It also has the amazing Selfish Leaps ability that prevents your opponent from drawing any prize cards if they knock out this Pokemon with damage from their Pokemon V's attacks. For the draw spot, we have 2 Snorlax to do Gourmandize, 3 Marnie, 2 Bird Keeper, and 1 Copycat. We also have 1 Skylar to get our tool cards, 3 Switch, 2 Escape Rope, and 2 Bird Keeper to loop Orbeetle's ability, 4 Double Turbo for Star Gravity, 1 Manaphy for the bench barrier, 1 Rod to show back our Pokemon and energies, and 1 Net for Snorlax. We also have our regular setup cards and 1 Drapion V for Mew VMAX matchups. So that's all for the deck list. Now let's go for some gameplay! Okay, let's go with our first game. We're up against a VSTAR deck, I think. Not really too sure. So we got our Necrozma coin for Psychic, our Psychic deck. It's not really a Psychic deck because we got no Psychic Pokemons. Initially, I started off with, it's a Regidrago VSTAR. So a very meta deck. We started off with Radiant Alakazam, which is kind of helpful if you want to target, you know, if you want to basically block damage from a specific Pokemon, because you can actually play your Eerie Beam less times, but I prefer just playing more switch cards. If you switch more times, you can actually do Eerie Beam 3 times in a single turn after doing Star Gravity, and that is actually enough for you to pull off another 3 damage counter with your Hisuian Braviary for 6 damage counter placement on all of their Pokemon, including the V, obviously the V cards, because after doing Star Gravity they would be damaged, but including the cards on the bench, because we actually get to place damage counter on all of their Pokemon with Orbeetle's ability, and that means Braviary is doing damage counter on everything, on all of our opponent's Pokemon. So if they have a full bench, it's doing 18 damage counter placement. A total of 18 is a lot. For 0 energy, stage 1 is pretty ridiculous. Like, Braviary is crazy right now. So dropping them down to 40 HP is kind of a little bit difficult, but not impossible, because we have 4 VMAXs in this deck, and we just need to put 3 VMAX in play, or just need to buy 1 extra turn though. We are unfortunately not able to pull off the Star Gravity that early, and we actually have to do a surprise Gravity as well. If we give off that we're gonna do a Star Gravity for this deck way too early, like attach a Double Turbo too early, then they're gonna know what we're up to. They're not gonna evolve their Pokemon. If they know what we're up to, they can actually choose not to evolve their Giratina, not to evolve their Regidrago. They can just attack with the basic, because we are not, we are not playing a high HP Pokemon. We have Orbeetle, but they can slowly kill off Orbeetle since we are not doing a lot of damage with that Pokemon. It is doing 200 damage though, so we may possibly be able to knock out a V card if they have like less than 210 HP. If they attach 3 energy, we are only doing 200 damage for the VMAX, right? Because it's doing 50 base plus 50 more for each energy attached, and that's not actually enough to kill off the basic. If it's a Mew VMAX though, if they don't evolve the Mew VMAX, we can still kill it, obviously, but I don't think Mew can do a knockout. The only attack that it can do is Psychic Leap. So they would probably play Meloetta instead of Mew if they know what we're up to, and not evolve anything on the bench. The Mew would stay the Mew, but they would play the Meloetta to attack. So it's actually quite interesting, you know, how to get around the Earthen Seal Stone card, which is kind of an easy counter. All you need to do is not evolve your Pokemon. If you evolve late, that means instead of having 100 HP remaining, you would have a lot more HP after they play their Gravity. If we can manage to pull it off though, right after they evolve all their V-Stars, all their V-Maxes, we can actually do our Star Gravity, and then Eerie Beam, Eerie Cry to drop them down to 40 HP, down to the range of the Panic Mask being activated, allowing us to block all damage from all of their Pokemon. So we are blocking damage from everything, everything on the field, which is crazy, right? That means any Pokemon that they attack with is not able to kill the Braviary if we have a Panic Mask attached to it. We want to be attaching the Panic Mask to Braviary just because it's doing the most damage counters, it's spreading the most damage with its attack, so we want to be attaching that tool card to the Braviary. You can choose to attach to your Orbeetle, but I prefer just, if you have like, 3 prize cards remaining on your opponent's end, if they have 3 prize remaining, then I think you kind of have to attach it to your Orbeetle if you want to be safe. But we have Leafy, Camo, Poncho to protect on your bench. So we have our shopping center to basically swap out the Earthen Sealstone for another Poncho, but we only are playing 2 copies of the Poncho though, so we should be getting our second mask for the first Orbeetle if we are playing 3 copies. If you for some reason are not able to get 3 copies into play after doing the Gravity, then you actually need to wait 1 extra turn before you're able to use the Panic Mask's effect, because the mask is not able to work if they have 50 HP remaining, unfortunately. They can still knock out your Pokemon, they can still do damage. Okay, here comes Legacy Star, and they actually get to do, they get to play any attack, any Dragon type Pokemon's moves from the discard pile. They can do Rolling Iron, Good V-Star, they can play Giratina's 280 damage attack. Up till now, I still have no idea what the attack is called. I know I should be familiarized with Giratina by now, but I still honestly don't know what the attack is called. Impact, something Impact. So they can also use Chrono Wind. They discarded a Dialga, a single strike Dialga, and Chrono Wind is gonna block us from using Orbeetle to attack. We do have our Braviary, but Orbeetle cannot do damage to the Regidrago if they use Chrono Wind on the last turn. Because we are playing Grass Energy for this deck as well, we can actually do, we can collect the knockout with our VMAX Wave after doing the Gravity, and then on the next turn play a Jynx to collect the second VMAX knockout for the win. If we don't get to play the Panic Mask, that would be our fail-safe strategy. So we have a couple of fail-safes in this deck. We have our Jynx, we have our Grass Energy to do VMAX Wave, we have also Braviary, a second copy of Braviary to place even more damage counters to basically do a multi-price knockout before, even if we don't get our Panic Mask, we can still do a multi-price knockout with double Braviary up till the very end. If we leave it too late though, just because we are not able to play our Star Gravity early, we actually have to use that V-Star power late. We have to wait until they evolve all their V-Stars and V-Maxes before doing our V-Star power. That would be the best case. If they choose not to evolve, we have no choice but to wait. Just because that is basically the best strategy, because we want to be putting as much damage counter as possible, getting as much damage counter in the game with our Star Gravity, because we have only 1 shot with that V-Star power. We don't want to be wasting it, we don't want to be using it too early. And if we use it late though, they would probably have like a few prizes drawn by knocking out the Snorlax or maybe a Rufflet or something on the bench, like a Manaphy. They can ball something else or even kill an Orbeetle V before it evolves. They can actually draw 2 prizes by killing an Orbeetle before we get to use our Eerie Beam. That actually means they may be able to reduce, they may have like 3 or 2 prizes remaining by the time we do our Star Gravity, so that would be actually quite risky. And that means after that, you're gonna have to do a lot following your Gravity. You're gonna have to play your Eerie Beam like 3 times, including, on the same turn doing another Eerie Cry to place more damage counter until they have like 40 HP remaining. So that's actually quite easy though. It's possible because we have a lot of VMAXs in this deck and we have a lot of switch cards. So a lot of switch cards means you get to switch after doing Gravity to play your Eerie Beam up to 3 times in a single turn. which is kind of the necessary amount. That's the minimum amount that we need to do to be able to pull off the Panic Mask combo. So Panic Mask is gonna prevent your opponent from doing any damage to your Braviary. We actually need to attach to Braviary just because it's the most powerful card for this deck in terms of damage counter placement. Is placing the most damage counters using its attack. And we want to be using Braviary to win the game by doing a multi-price knockout, using Eerie Cry to place 3 damage counter every single turn. If they can't kill Braviary on the next turn, they can't actually do a boss on the Orbeetle as well, since we have Camo Poncho, so they can't actually do anything. They can't hit our Orbeetle VMAX to draw extra prizes. They can't actually kill the Braviary. That means on the next turn we got another 3 more damage counters. If we got more switch cards, we can actually place 1 more damage counter, which is actually enough to win the game. We just need 1 more switch and 1 retreat to play our Eerie Beam and Eerie Cry 1 more time, because they have essentially 40 HP remaining, which is exactly enough to kill everything in play, which is crazy, right? Obviously the 1 price cards is kind of the exception, but by that time those 1 price supports would probably have like 20 or 30 HP remaining. As you see, Zigzagoon right now only has 50 HP remaining, as opposed to the Regidrago VSTAR has 100 HP remaining, and that means after doing your Eerie Beam, Zigzagoon would probably die already before before we even get to play our Braviary or something like that. A second hit. Obviously, the first hit is gonna kill off the Zigzagoon. So if they play a 1 price deck with Scoop Up Nets, it's gonna be very, very annoying, but they only have like 4 copies of the Nets, and Cheryl is gonna help you a lot against 1 price decks because it's gonna buy you a lot of turns. And if you don't get to use your Earthen Seal Stone, you get to play Cheryl to basically counter the Scoop Up Nets. If they play a lot of heal cards, if they keep on scooping up their Pokemon, you can counter that by reversing the turns that they bought. You can basically erase the turns that they bought by scooping up their Pokemon with your Cheryl by doing a counter reversal, counter erasing, right? So Cheryl is a good card, but I actually prefer not to play it just because I prefer to play enough supporters to draw the cards out. Skyla is actually pretty good because Skyla helps you get your tool cards. If you don't get the Earthen Seal Stone at the right time, you may not be able to use that attack at all. The reason we have a Skyla also is because we don't want to be attaching that tool card too early. If we attach it too early, they may not just play a Tool Scrapper or a Tool Jammer. They may just get wise to our strategy. If they know what we're doing, if they know we have a Seal Stone, they may just not evolve their Pokemon until the very, very end. If they choose not to do that, we can't actually win that easily anymore. It may not be possible to win, unless if we are smart with the game. It's still possible. Obviously, we can still do the Seal Stone for like up to 12 damage counter on their V cards, their basic Vs, and then wait for them to... they're probably going to evolve on the next turn if we place damage counters that way. So only 12 damage counters is okay, just because we can actually place more damage counters later on with our abilities. So that's the way to go. If we know our opponent is choosing not to evolve their Pokemon by force, we actually are forced to do our Seal Stone. We are forced to do Star Gravity early. So if we do that, it's still okay because we have our Jynx to collect the knockout right after placing extra damage counter. We have to do our ability more times after that. Because placing damage counter before your Star Gravity on their V Pokemons is essentially useless. So make sure you save your switch cards for later in the game. If you know they have V cards in their deck, do not use your switch cards that early. Okay, here comes Panic Mask, blocking off all damage from both the V-Stars. If they bench another Pokemon though, they can kill the Braviary. So they just conceded though. They conceded because they can't do any damage. And on the next turn, we got an Escape Rope in our hand. We can actually do the switch on the Orbeetle and retreat with the energy to place 4 damage counter with both Eerie Beam and Eerie Cry. So that's enough to win us the game using our ability, VMAX ability, and the free energy attack from the new Hisuian Pokemon from Silver Tempest. I love Braviary so much because the attack is so cool. Like, the attack is so cool. I think Hisuian Pokemons normally has one terrible, a trash card, and a viable card for standard. So obviously standard because it's like the newest card. So Lilligan, I'm not too sure about Lilligan though. The new Lilligan actually is from Silver Tempest as well. It has an attack, a free energy attack that allows you to charge up your Pokemon in play. I'm not sure if it's only the bench, probably only the bench though. Attach 2 grass energy from your deck, search your deck for any 2 grass energy and put it, attach it to your Pokemon in any way you like. It's interesting, but as a stage 1, I don't think it's that powerful. If it's a basic, I think it would be pretty broken. But Lilligan is, well, obviously, there's no such thing as a Hisuian Petilil, so I don't think it works. Basque Legion, there's one that does, Crimson Dive for 120 damage and Confusion. If one of your Pokemon's, if your opponent knock out one of your Pokemon on their last turn, you get to do a Confusion effect plus 120 damage for only 1 water energy. I don't think it's that good because Confusion is not a good effect right now since you have so many switch cards. I think meta decks right now, standard, most decks in standard plays enough switch cards and enough ways to counter Confusion. I don't think it's that easy to play that Basque Legion. The other Basque Legion though is way much better. You get to do 20x damage for each basic energy in your discard pile and you get to shuffle them back into the deck. It's basically a Volcarona for a stage 1 one price card Volcarona V replacement. Okay, we're gonna do our Gormandize with the Switch. So for this game, I was expecting them not to play any VSTAR or VMAXs. I thought they were doing like a full-on Sableye, Radiant Greninja deck, Mirage Gate, Rod. So Sableye can actually kill off Manaphy with Lost City and once and for all deal with the Water Veil. So if you have like only 1 Manaphy and a couple of rescue carriers, like for example a Lunatone Solrock deck, if they play rescue carrier with 1 Manaphy in their deck, you can just do Lost City with your Sableye to deal with the Manaphy, and on the next turn they can actually revive it. And you actually get to play your Moonlight Shuriken for multiple hits after that. So they have Mirage Gate for only a couple of shots with the Greninja. So I don't think it's that powerful, honestly, because Greninja only gets to do 90 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, which is a total of 180. If you get to pull off Mirage Gate 3 times, I think that's a lot, but might not be enough to kill like 2 V-Stars even. And you actually need to play enough rods. If you don't rod back the Greninja and enough energies, if you don't get your Mirage Gate at the right time, you can't actually play it that easily. So I don't think Greninja is that powerful against like VMAX and V-Star decks, especially if they heal their Pokemon. Sableye is not doing a lot of damage counters as well. So here comes the Deoxys. They actually benched a V card and we just wasted our double turbo. Oh well, we got 3 more inside the deck, possibly in the prize. So they just spit innocently on the Snorlax, and we have 20 HP remaining. We're gonna attach the double turbo on the Orbeetle, on the first Orbeetle. Oh, we actually did Grass Energy because we wanted to go incognito. We wanted to hide the fact that we have a, what's it called again? That we have a Seal Stone. If they know we have a Earthen Seal Stone, if they know we have double turbo for that, to do Star Gravity, then they would not evolve the Deoxys. They would choose not to evolve because they don't really need to. Deoxys V is doing enough damage, I guess, for a 2-hit knockout. I'm not too sure though. So if they are doing the V-Star, they can actually do 1-hit knockout on the VMAX with the V-Star attack. I forgot what it's called again. Star Helix? Star Force? Something. Okay, we got our VMAX. We're just gonna do Eerie Beam. We actually have to do 2 things at the same time. So this is a very tricky game because they have like not enough V cards in play. They have both 1 price and V in the same deck, and they have like way more, way more one prizes in play. That means we actually need to place enough damage counters early and late game as well. I don't think Panic Mask is gonna help us much because they can attack with, Cramorant as well. Cramorant is not doing a knockout against Braviary though, so Panic Mask would actually still help us. But it would be wiser to spend a few of your switch cards early, just because it helps you knock out, it helps you place extra damage counter on the Comfies and, for possible knockouts, because they only have up to 4 Scoop Up Nets. They can't actually play that many Scoop Up Nets in a single deck. And, if they don't get it at the right time as well, they may not be able to scoop up the right Pokemons. If they scoop up the wrong ones, we can actually kill the lower HP Pokemons. So Cramorant only has 50 HP now, and Braviary may be able to collect the knockout on the next turn if we play enough VMAXs. We are kind of hiding the fact that we are doing a seal as well. Since we are doing Eerie Beam so early, if they know, you're hiding in the bench, they would be expecting, something fishy. Like, why is an Orbeetle VMAX deck not playing the ability early? I think that's the best way though to get your, to make sure you can win any game, honestly. You have to hide the fact that you have a Seal Stone. You have an Earthen Seal Stone in your deck. Do not attach it way too early. Do not play your switch cards too early, but obviously you have to play a few just to make sure you get to play Eerie Beam a few times. Okay, Star Force, there we go. 60x damage for each energy attached to both active Pokemons. And we have double turbo. If we have 3 energies attached to the Orbeetle, they're doing 180. And if they have 3 energy on the Deoxys, they're doing another 180. So that's like 360, which is enough to kill any VMAX, including Gudra VSTAR. Okay. We got the seal, we got the capture. I think we should be doing it right now, because even if they have a second copy of the Deoxys, I don't think it would matter too much. We should be able to collect all 6 prizes by killing both the Comfy, Cramorant, well, all Pokemon's in play right now. Right? If we do the Seal Stone, all we need to do is deal with the Deoxys and then damage counter knockout all of the other 1 prizes. They're gonna bench a second one, you'll see. They have a second Deoxys V-Star. I don't think they have the VMAX at all. Maybe 1 copy of the VMAX. The VMAX is quite trash though, honestly. If you don't play, if you don't stack the ability, I don't think there's any point doing the VMAX. Unless if you play V-Guard energy. We have V-Guard now for Deoxys, by the way. Deoxys reduces damage done by V-Star Pokemons, and we got V-Guard, we got, Gardevoir, Lake Acuity. Got a lot of cards now. I still don't think Fantina is worth it though. Fantina, if you play a V-Guard or a Gardevoir, all you need to do is attach it or like bench it, right? You don't need to do anything else. For Fantina, in order for you to play a Fantina, you have to lose 10 cards. Like, that's not an easy thing to do. And it's a supporter card as well. You can't play any other supporter cards. You can't do Boss, you can't do Marnie, you can't play any other, you can't do Roxanne, Avery, you can't do anything. If you play a Fantina and if they attack, if they play a 1 prize deck, you're done for. Fantina is completely useless. And there's just no point doing a Fantina. It draws you 0 cards. Like, if it draws 1 or 2 cards, I would like be all up for it, but come on, Fantina is basically useless. Okay, we got a few damage counter. We got way too many escape ropes in our hands, so this is the point where I debated whether to swap out the research, because research is gonna either discard your switch cards or your tool cards. It's gonna force you to attach your tool cards way too early, so that's why eventually we decided to cut out the research. It does give you a huge amount of draw though, a big draw power with that 7 7 pull, but it's not actually that viable just because it's forcing you to discard your tool cards or to attach them to the wrong Pokemon. If you don't get your shopping center later on, or if you get it too late, if you have it priced, we only are playing 1 copy. If you don't get the shopping center, you cannot actually, rearrange or replace your tool cards. So that's why research doesn't really work. And we actually want to be keeping the escape ropes for later. Well, we should be using it right now, honestly, but oh well. Okay, we actually get to pull it off just because Eerie Cry is a 0 energy attack. We actually get to attach the energy for the retreat instead of the attack cost. So we did our Eerie Beam twice, and we're gonna do Eerie Cry for 3 more damage counter placement. That means we did 5 damage counter placement this turn, because we are not able, unfortunately, to pull off a 3rd Eerie Beam with the 3rd Orbeetle, because it's not evolved yet. But we did kill 2 Confies though, so that's not too bad. Okay, we got double turbo and grass energy, lost provisions. Here comes Star Force. They're gonna do a boss right now and deal with the Orbeetle on the bench with the Seal Stone. So we didn't get our shopping center, didn't get our second. Well, we do have our second Poncho, but we attached it too early, I guess. So if you have a Poncho in your hand, don't attach the second copy until after you do your Star Gravity, because you want to be guarding all Orbeetles on the bench. If you have a Panic Mask, we only are playing 2 copies of each tool card though. So that means we have no 3rd Poncho for the 3rd Orbeetle. We actually need to play Panic Mask for the 3rd one. And if they don't have 40 HP on their Pokemon, if they have more than 40 HP, they're going to be able to hit with the boss. Here comes the knockout. They got 3 prizes, and they just need Javelin Dive on twice on one of the VMAXs on our bench, but they can't actually do boss though. They're going to have to play Cross Switcher twice, and I don't think that's possible because you only are able to fit in 4 copies, and you need to discard 2 copies. You need to play 2 items in a single turn to play the Cross Switcher effect. Okay, they drew 3 prizes for a VMAX knockout, and now we're just gonna use our ability as many times as we can. I think we have the win here if we can somehow switch the second Orbeetle. But we couldn't, so we didn't get our switch card, so research actually screwed us over. If we got our escape rope right now, if we saved the escape rope on the last turn, we could have possibly drawn it out. And then, do Eerie Beam twice for another 5 damage counter placement with our Braviary Orbeetle combo. So we're going to retrieve our grass energy from the training card. Giving us the training card for the energy is delicious, but we don't really need it though. We can actually use the grass for the retreat cost and, keep on retrieving it for the retreat, and then use our double turbo for Jynx. So that's probably the only plus side of the training card. So Jynx can still attack. Do not underestimate the Jynx. If they scoop up the Greninja on the next turn, we still can possibly knock out the Deoxys. For the final prize, they may force us to kill another VSTAR to collect the final 1 prize. If they do that, we have our Psychic Assault to possibly collect the knockout against the Deoxys. I don't think we have any more switch cards though, so it's gonna be a bit more difficult to kill the second one, because they only have like 8 damage counter passing the turn. Okay. 9, I think. They got 9 damage counter on the Deoxys, the second one. If they don't scoop up any one of the 1 prizes on the bench, they're done for, because we got... we just need to play double Orbeetle. We just need to play double beam for the knockout, for the win. 9 damage counter. That means we need like a couple of shots with Orbeetle before we can play Jynx to collect the knockout. If they do a boss on the Jynx as well, it's going to be a bit more difficult. But we have the Rod to cycle back our Jynx. So I think we should be fine. That's why we have a Twin Energy. Twin Energy is basically for Jynx to attack. But if you attach the Twin to your Orbeetle VMAX, obviously it's not going to work. It's only going to serve as one colorless, as we all know. Okay, they didn't scoop up their Pokemon. It's over. We won the game. Okay, we killed both the Deoxys and Cramorant. And now we just need to retreat. Beam to knock out the Greninja. 11. We need like 13. Well, we actually need 14 damage counter though. 14 damage counter on their active to be able to kill a VSTAR, just because Jynx is doing 20 less damage with double turbo. So if they have 14 damage counter, Jynx is doing 130 damage, which is exactly enough to kill the Deoxys VSTAR, but not quite enough to kill an Arceus or Regidrago. But you can actually play your Panic Mask on the Jynx, which would be pretty interesting. So Panic Mask on Jynx, because I don't think we played Panic Mask on that game. I don't think we drew out the tool card. I don't think we used that tool card yet. So we can still somehow pull out a Panic Mask for us to use Psychic Assault twice in a row, because they can't boss the Orbeetle after we use the ability. We can't actually play... It's going to be a bit more difficult though, because if we leave the Orbeetle in the active, they may be able to do a one-hit knockout with something like a Radiant Charizard, but they actually are playing Greninja, my bad. They have Greninja, so they are not playing Charizard. So Charizard is only doing 280 max damage, but we are playing a Grass type, so Charizard can actually do a one-hit knockout on the Orbeetle, unfortunately. So now we're up against a Eternatus VMAX deck. They're playing Eternatus VMAX with a, Darkness Box, full-on, one prize with V cards as well. They're playing a really messy combo, but oh well. It's an Eternatus deck nonetheless. Here comes their first basic, their first V card. And we actually had to attach the double turbo from the very start. I don't think we have a Grass Energy for this game. So this game is like the original build, not the original, but the very earliest, the earliest experiment when I first started off playing this combo. Where there is no, I think we have 3 Ponchos as well. There's no Grass Energy, there's no... I don't think there's enough Incense as well. I'm not too sure. Okay, we're gonna do Ultra Ball for the Snorlax. But I have no idea what we should be discarding though. I don't think we need the Twin Energy, honestly. Because we got double turbo for Jynx. If we get the Snorlax though, we're gonna have to either wait one turn to do Gormandize if we want to keep the energy, or just retreat and discard the double turbo. I don't want to discard the double turbo, honestly. We chose to get an Orbeetle. Interesting. Now we have nothing but triple draw on the next turn. That's very, very risky. Getting a couple damage counter in the game fast though is gonna count a lot. It does add up, and we all know that damage counter is super fun to play, especially if you can do it early. Radiant Alakazam would be fun to play, but I eventually decided to just cut that card out, just because if you don't get it for, the right Pokemon, it's not gonna do anything. It's gonna eat up a bench spot as well. It means you can't actually play another VMAX. If you transfer damage counter from any one of their, docile Pokemon like Crobat or Lumineon that is not meant to attack, you can transfer those damage counters onto their attackers to basically reduce their HP down to 40, so that you can actually play your Panic Mask more easily without having to do that many switches. But I just prefer to play more VMAX and switches, because Radiant Alakazam is just boring to play, I guess. I've played it enough times already, and if you do it for like transfer, it's not really that good an effect as opposed to placing more damage counter with another VMAX. I think that's gonna do a lot more, because on the next turn you can possibly kill everything if you have enough switches. Okay, we're gonna evolve the Braviary and retreat, I guess, to draw cards with Orbeetle. We don't want to be keeping it in the active. We don't have the energy, unfortunately. We have no basic energy to do the Earthen Sealstone VSTAR power. So we're gonna just wait in the active apparently for the basic energy, which is quite silly. For the energy. We just need one more energy though, and we didn't get it. So we're forced to do the retreat right now. We got Mimikyu in this deck, and I don't think it's necessary, because if they play a heal deck, we don't stand a chance anyways. But if they do Radiant Serena though, it's gonna help a lot. That one Mimikyu is gonna help a lot, but it is, as we said, eating up the bench spot. If we need a Manaphy, if we need a Mimikyu, then we can't actually play that many VMAXs anymore. So I just prefer to play more VMAXs. In addition to the Alakazam, can you imagine? Okay, we got 2 Seal Stones and a double turbo. So we are, you know, very late in this game just because we couldn't draw out the energy. I don't think we're playing that many copies. We only have 4 double turbo, 2 capture, and 1 twin energy. I'm pretty sure. I wanted to do gift energy, but I don't see the point in it because they're not going to kill the VMAX. We don't want them to be killing the VMAX. If they kill the Orbeetle VMAX, they would be drawing 3 prize, which would be very, very bad. So I don't think gift energy is making sense for this deck. We should be playing something else. Gift energy for 1 prize would be really, really powerful. I don't think it warrants use in a VMAX deck. So we get to play our research, but as you saw, we had to attach all of our tool cards. We actually are playing an air balloon for this deck, which eventually got swapped out for another switch, because if you do air balloon, it would be basically senseless just because you need to not just swap it out after playing your gravity. After playing the VSTAR power, you actually need to swap out the Seal Stone for a Camo Poncho or a Panic Mask and have another another mask ready on the bench, another mask attached to your second Orbeetle or your third one on the bench at the same time. If you have like an air balloon and a Seal Stone attached to both Orbeetles in play, that means you need to retrieve 2 tool cards, which you're not able to do with your shopping center. You're only able to retrieve 1 tool card back into your hand once during your turn. With the shopping center, you can't do it more than once. So air balloon makes no sense, especially if you have energy to retreat already. If we have energy after playing our Star Gravity, we can actually retreat with the double turbo. You know, if they play a Galar Mine, we can retreat with the double turbo, stuff like that. We actually need 3 energies though to retreat if they play a Galar Mine, which is exactly enough because we got 3 for Star Gravity. That means it's not going to be possible for us to do GMAX Wave after that. But it's still okay. I mean, I prefer retreating with the energy than doing the air balloon for the retreat, because if you play air balloon, you can't actually retreat twice. You can't do a retreat twice. If you play more switches, you can switch more times, right? If you have 2 switch cards in your hand, for example, you can switch twice and then do a retreat. If you have an air balloon and you can retreat with an energy in the active, if you have energies to retreat, then it would defeat the purpose of the air balloon. It's kind of doing the same thing. Okay, we got our first prize by killing a Impidimp. And now we should be able to pull off our Star Gravity. We want to be doing it right now. We retrieved our Panic Mask because we know they're probably going to do a boss to knock it out. So make sure you're careful with stuff like that. Panic Mask is a tool card. That means they can still do Tool Scrapper, Lost Vacuum. They can even play Max Miracle if they play cards like Duraludon VMAX as well, effects, you know, all effects is basically senseless. They get to get past Panic Mask with their Shred, Giratina. So there are a lot of counters for Panic Mask, but, you know, it's still a fun card to play. Like, if they don't play the specific cards, if they don't have Duraludon in the deck, if they don't play Max Miracle, if they don't play Shred, then, you know, we actually get to we get to control them, we get to prevent all damage, which is so cool. It's a control deck of sorts, isn't it? Because they can't damage our Orbeetle, they can't damage our Braviary, they can't boss the Orbeetle, they can't do anything. If they boss the Jynx, they are drawing 0 prizes, and we can actually rod back the Jynx to collect more prizes with Psychic Assault later on. So if we can't do a multi-prize knockout, we got Jynx and GMAX Wave. I think I mentioned that already, my bad. Okay, now they have 100 HP remaining on all of their Pokemon. Well, all of their V Pokemon. Except for the Eternatus on the bench, they can still evolve the VMAX. But there's no VMAX for Slowbro or Sableye. So we should be good to win the game if we can kill all the V cards, right? If they play a Collapse Stadium at some point though, they can actually choose to discard their V Pokemons. If they do that, we still have the 1 prize knockouts. We just need to draw 2 more prizes and kill off the VMAX, and that's it. We won the game. 1 VMAX knockout with 1 more prize. So damage counter means we don't actually need the boss. We're not playing any boss or Serena for this deck just because we are, you know, placing damage counter on all of their Pokemon, which is super fun. But we do have Jynx though. Jynx is actually able to collect a knockout by doing an attack, and that means if they have a Pokemon with a lot of damage counters on the bench that we want to target, we should be playing a boss for Psychic Assault. But this deck is more focused in on Panic Mask, so I would prefer to feature that card than the Jynx, but it's just an extra security that we have in the deck. Because they're drawing 0 prize and we're doing so much damage with Jynx. Okay, 3 more damage counter, and I don't think they have any Pokemon in play that is more than 40 HP. So that means whatever they attack with, they're not going to be able to get past our Braviary. They're going to do a boss. They're going to have to do a boss to get enough damage in the game. And they actually have 3 prize remaining. We have a Poncho on both the Orbeetles on the bench. They just need 30 damage on the Orbeetle, the damaged Orbeetle, the injured one, to collect the final 3 prize, and they couldn't do it. All thanks to the Poncho. Okay, here comes Tyrannical Hole for another 0 damage block. And we just need to play Eevee Cry one last time to collect a full swipe knockout. Look at that. We killed all Pokemons in play, all 9 Pokemons. That's crazy, yo. Against an Eternatus VMAX, we wiped off the board of like a Skyfield board. It's crazy, isn't it? All 8 Pokemons dead. Okay, now we're gonna... I think this is a random matchup. So they're playing Marshtomp. Sorry, they're playing Swampert. They're playing Swampert from Fusion Strike, which actually helps you attach either a fighting or a water energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon freely. You only get to attach 1 extra energy though, which is not a lot. But you get to attach 1 or the other. And they're playing Cramorant VMAX with Lycanroc VMAX, so it's kind of a random deck. But it's still pretty strong. That's why I added into this video. Just because Cramorant can do more and more damage. If you don't knock it out, they actually get to attach an extra energy with their Swampert for another coin flip. So they need the Glimwood Tangle. They need to play more double turbos, I guess. So if they get the double turbo, they got no fighting energy or water to attach with I keep calling it Marsh Tom. Why do I keep calling it Marsh Tom? To attach with Swampert, and that means they are not able to attach up to 3 energy in a single turn. Here comes the double turbo. We should be preparing for a Manaphy though, because they can actually do spit shot for 160 damage. 160 is not enough to kill anything. If they search for a telescopic sight right now, we got a Marnie, but if they got a telescopic sight on the next turn, they can actually kill the Orbeetle if we don't evolve. And I don't think it's that easy to evolve all 3 in a single turn. So we should be benching a Manaphy just in case they do spit shot. And they actually have EV, the V Search EV from Evolving Skies, which is very, very outdated, I would say, because that card works really well before Adventures Discovery was released. Now that we have Adventures Discovery, I don't think we need that EV anymore. That EV is just doing nothing. It's not a good card for standard, especially against, you know, meta decks. I actually built an EV V-Union deck, doing V-Search to get the V-Union copies into my hand on my second turn. On my first turn going second, and then if they don't play a Marnie, we get to discard it with our Galarian Articuno, which is super cool. Galarian Articuno for V-Union decks was such a big thing back then. And Familiar Bell as well. Okay, we got our first Beetle. And we didn't actually bench the Manaphy. That means they can actually pull off the Telescopic Sight knockout, but they are going to be forced to discard all energies though. Important to note that Cramorant has a huge cost, not just the attack cost, but also the condition that requires you to, you know, the condition of the attack, which is to discard all energies attached to your Cramorant in order to, you know, do 160 damage to any one of your Pokemon. One of your opponent's Pokemon, my bad. So Lichen Rock can actually kill the Rufflet on the bench if we don't evolve it. So I think we should be evolving the Braviary as soon as possible. They may get wise to our strategy and just kill off the Rufflet before we get to evolve. Or attack with Eerie Cry. We don't want that to happen. We don't have that many Orbeetles anyway, so we should be evolving everything right now. We're gonna attach the double turbo to the same Orbeetle, preparing for the Sealstone. We're gonna evolve the Braviary right now. We got Panic Mask. We're just gonna do a Marnie, because if we attached it too early, they're either gonna know what we're up to and just choose not to evolve. They can't really do much, you know, for the basic though. The basic Pokemons aren't really doing enough damage to kill the VMAX, because we have Orbeetle VMAX, which they really want to be targeting. If they want to kill the VMAX, they're gonna need to evolve. Okay, they are playing random cards here, but they have a Swampert. They do have a Swampert, you'll see. What's the attack called again? Max Gulp Missile? I forgot Cramorant's attack. Max. I forgot. So Drapion is kind of essential just because Mew VMAX is super annoying. And if you get matched up against Mew, you got that crazy swing for a one-hit knockout for 3 prizes. If they play Meloetta though, we got no boss. So I think we should be fine still because we are placing damage counter on the Meloetta. So we can actually deal with the Fusion Strike. If they attach a Fusion Strike energy with Elisa onto the Meloetta, that means it's doing a lot less damage on the next turn after we collected the knockout. If we kill the Meloetta with our, what's it called again? With our Eerie Beam and Eerie Cry by placing damage counter for the knockout, we can actually avoid Orikurio's ability. And not only that, we can also reduce the number of Fusion Strike energy they have in play, essentially reducing the amount of damage they are doing with Melodious Echo. And that means they're going to be forced to play Mew VMAX at some point in the active. And Drapion is going to be able to collect the knockout at some point. We do have one rod to shuffle back our Braviary or Drapion back into the deck so that we get to use it more times. So rod is kind of essential if you play a research. That's the reason we have a rod in the first place. It's because we have a research in the deck, but eventually we swapped out the research for a copycat, and we still are playing the rod. We still kept the rod just because is that important. If they play Avery, we have to rod back the right Pokemons. If they kill our Jynx way too early before we get to use Psychic Assault, we have to shuffle it back to use it more times, because they are actually they're not drawing any prizes though. If they kill your Jynx with a V Pokemon, they are not drawing any prizes because it has the ability Selfish Lips. Very, very nice ability. Same as your Trevenant from Lost Origin. Okay, we're gonna do another Eerie Beam. They have a Mudkip on the bench, ready to evolve to the Swampert. And they have Bascule Legion. I get it now. It's not random after all. It's not random. So Bascule Legion actually helps you shuffle back all those energies after your Cramorant gets knocked out. Once your opponent kills the Cramorant, it would probably have a lot of energies attached to it. And then by then, you would be able to do Bascule Legion for big damage because you would have a lot of basic energy in the discard pile. Not that many though. I don't think the strategy works that well. Just because I called it Marshtomp again, just because Swampert only gets to attach that extra 1 energy every single turn, and that means you need up to 6 turns to be able to do 240 damage with your Bascule Legion later on. Unless if you're doing research or stuff like that to discard extra energies from your hand, or Pokestop to discard from the deck as well. So you never know what your opponent is going to play, and we actually get to deny them from using the Gmax attack. They're doing 0 damage with the VMAX Pokemon, and they just conceded. We won with Panic Mask. So that's all for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, we'll see you next time. Have a great day, and bye for now, lovely people! Enjoy your life!